We'll open up for questions for Coach Barnes.
Right.
Well, Coach Barnes, 2 weeks into conference play, you've only got one loss. So have you been happy with the first 2 weeks?
Yeah, overall. I mean, if you tell me we're 3-1 at the beginning of the year, I would say that'd be a good start. I think we could have done better, but this is part of what we do. That thought we had our chances at New Mexico State, and we didn't finish, but it's a good start for our guys.
And at New Mexico State, I mean, yeah, obviously you had a lead late in the second half. And
Yeah.
I guess what was the difference you think in being able to finish down the stretch and not?
I thought we got tired. I thought we extended a lot of energy, and at the previous game at Rio Grande Valley, I thought travel affected our guys somewhat. Just getting there so late, not getting a chance to get a shoot around in, not getting a chance to get on their floor the day before. We have a lot of guys haven't been in that building, and a lot of times some teams it's just better to get them there to get familiar. We didn't get a chance to do anything on the floor in between games, and but also I thought we had to expend a lot of energy against Rio Grande Valley, and they did a really good job of pushing us. And I didn't think, our bench, I probably didn't trust it enough in the New Mexico State game, and thought we had some guys down the stretch that ran out of gas.
I think it was before conference play started. You mentioned, how you guys were picked behind these teams like Utah Valley, Seattle, New Mexico State that you were about to play, and you said, well, actually you didn't reference those teams specifically, but you said there might have been a little bit of a gap then between you and maybe the very best team in the conference.
Yeah.
Do you think you've closed that gap mostly?
I do. I think we've closed the gap. I still don't think we're where we need to be to call ourselves champions or the best team. But I think we're closer to contending as far as being in that. I think we've proven that through the 3 games. I think besides Grand Canyon, those were the 3 teams that were picked ahead of us. And 2 of the teams we beat, one of them, obviously I thought we won the first half clearly, but we didn't finish the game. So I think we've closed the gap, but I still think our team, as I've discussed with them yesterday and throughout practice today, we could get much better. We're still not playing as well as I think this team is capable of playing, which we don't have to do that right now because, again, our goal is always to make the NCAA tournament, so we want to be playing our best basketball at the end of the year. But we've gotten better. We've gotten better in the last month. We're better than what we were the first month, and that's what I'm probably most proud of our team for. We're continuing to get better, and we're continuing to work hard. I thought, again, as I said, I think, when we're now in conference play and you go through it a couple of weeks and you kind of look at things and you go back and you kind of do an evaluation, and we've got to, especially in our second game, be able to get guys off the bench to give us some more quality minutes. But other than that, we're in a good place. But you always say, hey, you want to be 4-0, but just to get a split on the road in the league this year, I think is going to be really important. So we've done what we need to do. We won our 2 home games. We got a split on the road, and this week is a very important week for us. And we really got to be focused on the 2 teams that are coming here.
Is there a biggest difference you see from your team right now compared to a month ago and what you've improved or developed upon?
Just confidence for one. And then I think chemistry. Just the more you play with guys and the responsibility of some of these guys, I thought, early on we're trying to figure out who's kind of going to score for us and, who we can depend on the boards, who we can depend on coming off the bench. So, and then when guys get a little bit more comfortable with that, you start to play better, just because there's no less uncertainty in what you're doing. Also, just figuring each other out. Again, I talked about we started the year basically with a new point guard, even though Rick played last year. We started the year with James Subert, who didn't play last year. We started this year with, Greg Lee, who didn't start last year. So we had a lot of questions that we needed to answer that we thought between our team and among our players that we had the answers to the questions. But until you get out there and work with each other and go through it with each other, you really don't know. And again, that's what I think. I think we still, the upside to this team, I kept saying, is we have a high ceiling. And we're not at that ceiling yet. I still think our ceiling is extremely high, but I think we're finding that Rick is playing pretty consistent kind of guy. I think Jarkel is kind of falling into his role. I still think we got guys that we can get more from. I don't think Damian has really shot the ball well the way I think he's capable of doing. I don't think Taze has been as consistent as I'd like for him to be. I don't think our bench has really contributed as much as I think we're capable of doing. So I don't think our defense is as good as it can get, for 40 minutes. There's times, I thought the other night, we were really good in the first half. There's time we were really, really good defensive. There's time where we were really good offensive. What we've done, I think, over the last month, we figured out how to win the game. I think that's what we did at Rio Grande. I think we figured out, we were good enough offensively and defensively, and then we figured out how to finish the game. So, but we can do better, and that's what our press is. We're concerned with wins, like it is this week. We'd like to win 2 games because obviously we want to continue to give ourselves a chance to win a championship, but really it's more about our team getting better. If we're good as we're going to get right now, we're not good enough to go to the WAC tournament and win. And again, that's our goal. We have, as everyone I'm sure, have short-term and long-term goals. Right now, we got to reach our short-term goals of getting better. And that's our press each and every practice, each and every day. And I think that's why we're in the position that we're in, because we've kept it simple and we've stayed focused on what our goals are.
When you talk about reaching, obviously you want to reach the potential this team has by the end of the year. Is that more, you think, making improvements in their overall unit, overall team concerns, or things that come down to like an individual guy doing better?
Both. I think we've got some guys that can play better. I think we've got some guys that are getting better. So when they get better as an individual, we get better as a team. But also we have some team things. And I just mentioned about defensively as a team. There are some times that we're not as good, but there's other times that we're great. And as a team, if we can get where we're consistently playing great defense, then we're in a really good place. But some of that comes because of individuals too, because we're starting to get more consistency from some guys we needed. But then there's other guys that can give us a great upsize that we haven't found that place yet. But it's okay. It's as I told them, we're not going to the tournament next week. So it's okay. We don't have to push a panic button. We can do as we've done before. It's gradually get better. Find places that we're having problems and fix them. And then by the end, if we can continue with that kind of focus, we'll have all of our questions answered. And, we'll still, again, have questions, but they're not questions of individuals. There's questions for us from a team perspective that we've got to get right. So, and I think we will. That's why I keep telling them. I said, you guys keep doing what you're doing, because I think they're a team that's in the moment. They're locked into what we're having to do right now. And because of that, we can focus on getting better.
Coach, 2 or 3 times this year, you've already talked to us about one of the teams to watch out for is Kansas City. And they're coming here on Thursday. So
yeah,
how are you guys feeling about that?
Well, we think they're a tough team. They've got good guards, returning guards. They've added guys on the front line that can get them some depth. They got good size. They got good balance as far as inside-outside play. So we've got our work cut out. You know, I'm all the time saying it because I really studied teams as the year go on and teams that we struggled with before, and I kept telling everyone this league is really, really good, and it's really, really balanced. And no one has ever talked about UMKC, really, but I did because I know they had good point guard play. I knew they was returning people. And when you've got experience and you've got good guard play, you can always be in the game. And they're playing that way. So, again, I like our team, this team, because we're a team, again, in the moment. I don't think any one of our guys right now are concerned about next week or Chicago State. I think our team is really, really focused on, first of all, getting better because we know we didn't play our best game against New Mexico State. But also, I think they're thinking about this next game. We got to get this next game. And if we could continue to do that, and I told them, hey, let's look up in March and see where we are. If we're number 4, we're better than what everybody picked us. If we're number 3, we're better than everyone picked us. If we're number 1, we're probably the surprise of our league to win it all. It matters to us because we want to win games. We want to have a winning season. But in the end, we want to get to March and be able to win 3 games. So we didn't put too much in the Rio Grande win that we were jumping around and celebrating. We were happy about it. We didn't put too much loss in the New Mexico State loss because, again, we just pick out the things that we're not doing well, and we talk about it, and we try to get back, and we try to work on it, and I keep telling them, we have the answers. You know, we can shoot the ball well enough. We've proven that we can rebound it well enough. We've proven that we can defend well enough. You know, we proved that we can play different ways if we need to. Now we've got to just be consistent enough to do it night in, night out.
Xavier Bishop, did he hit the game winner against you guys?
He did.
Yeah. Just what kind of, he's been scoring the ball pretty well this year. Just what kind of challenges does he provide?
Well, you know, he's really good. He's quick. He's fast. He knows what he's doing. You know, we haven't and we won't. Sometimes when you have guards that are smaller, you don't give them the credit they deserve. He is one of the best guards in our league, and we're taking him serious that way because he can score the ball on all 3 levels. He runs their team really well. He may be one of the most complete point guards, if not the most complete point guard in our league. So, you know, our guards have their hands full. And again, he played well against us last year. We guarded him pretty well, but you know, he hit some big shots, but that's what he's known for. So we've got to be really aware with him. And our goal every game is to try to hold teams' leading scores under their average because we think it affects their team, and we'll be trying to do that with him on Thursday.
And not speaking about him specifically, but just when you look back at the game so far, like when you played against Morgan Means, or just what have you thought of the guard play, whether it be Jarkel or Ricky or Taze or whoever you have that you're using to kind of try and shut down a guy that could be that one of those leading scorers?
We've been really good, especially with starters. Some of the times we've had some struggles with guys that have come off the bench. A lot with guys that are starters that are leading their team, whether it's been a guard or forwards. We've done a really good job of kind of taking things away from them. But then also we've had a couple of times throughout the year that, you know, guys have played as well as they have been playing, and we always are concerned about that because, again, we're a defensive-minded program, so what we do is take away what other people like to do and take away their scoring and their rebounding, and because we're a defensive team. You know, offensive team, obviously, I would imagine coaches want to hit a certain number. They want to shoot a certain percentage. They want to get to the line a certain amount of times. We're defensive minded. We want to take away some things. We want to keep you from getting to your average. We want to lower your percentages because we think it gives us a chance to win. And we've done that more than this year in a sense, then, we've been more successful than we've failed. So that's the reason why we've won.
Coach, can you talk about the gameplay of Darren?
Darren Person is one of those guys when I talk about, we've got to extend our bench some. And he's been able to help us do that, since Christmas. His minutes has increased. His importance to what we're doing has increased, and it's going to even increase more. That's what I thought, as I mentioned earlier, about playing our starters and being a little bit smarter. I told the guys I've got a newer team, so I'm learning as we get into conference play what's going to work for us and not work for us. And the last 2 weekends, Saturday game was a little bit tougher for our starters as far as on the defensive end, especially in the second half. So we've got to figure out with the 40-minute games in both games, how can we get the James Subers, the Rickett holders, the Jarkells joiners, get them more minutes of rest. And how way we do that, whether that's no practice on Friday, we've got to have them fresher at the end of the game on Saturday night. And I think Darren plays a big part in that. And he's given us a presence inside, and we needed that. He's a lot like James Suber in being very physical, rebounding, probably a little bit better feel for scoring, mainly because he can shoot free throws better.
Can you talk about the trust that you have and put it in that redshirt freshman?
A lot of trust because he proven it in practice. You always at the beginning of the year, I thought he was one of the players when we recruited him. I thought he'd be an all-conference player, and I think he will one day be an all-conference player. But he's earned it. We've got other guys that we've moved around and played, but he's earned the right to get to the floor. And as he continues to get better and learn what we're trying to do more, stay healthy, because that's the reason why he was even behind from the beginning. I feel like he would play here as a freshman. And I still don't think, and I keep talking about the upsides of our team, I think he's one of the guys that, if you want to say the light bulb hasn't come on quite as light as we like it, his feel for what we're doing hasn't improved. Every day he's learning a little bit more because he was off for a whole year without even playing. And sometimes I don't, or the coaches don't, but people may not remember that. I mean, you're talking about a kid that had surgery, and basically, I think it was May, and he didn't come back the whole year. And now to not only play high school, that's tough for a high school, play high school, but to take this next step to being in college, and to took him 4 or 5 months to kind of catch up. He could be a different player in a month, even better, just from being out there and understanding and being a part of practice every day and being part of games. And, the great thing, and I think it speaks about his potential and his future, he started to play his best basketball now that league play is here. Sometimes guys play really good in the non-conference, you get the league play, and they kind of slide back. He's reversed that. And I think that for us, it's a great sign of things to come. That he didn't get the league play, and we're like, where did Darren go? He got the league play, and we're like, everyone else is like, who is this kid that now getting these minutes? And again, I think as we go forward, you'll start to see us use him even more.
Coach, I know you guys like to go one game at a time, but you do have Chicago State coming in on Saturday. They might be a team you would be tempted to overlook, but what are you guys thinking about them and what you're going to have to do to get the win in?
Well, I think it was right what you said. We got to take one game at a time. We are not still a team that can just go to the floor and we're just going to win. That's not us. We're not experienced enough. Our depth is not where it needs to be yet. We're not consistent enough to make that happen. So we have to take one game at a time. And again, I know you're talking about Chicago State. When the game is over against UMKC, we have a lot of work to do because Chicago State is a very dangerous team. They've got some experience. They've added a couple of pieces. they've been playing really good basketball. They've just been short of wins. This is not a team, if you go back and look, that maybe is coming into the league and coming here and they've lost about 30 or 40 points or something like that. This is a team that a lot of times during the game they're leading. I think they're still trying to figure out how to win games, but they are definitely competing already. So again, I think and hoping that our team, which I believe will continue to do what we've been doing, and that's take one game at a time, because if we get to Saturday and we're looking what's going to happen next week, we could find ourselves in trouble. And that's why I'm really, really pushing our bench this week, because I think a lot of it has to do that if we can keep our bench ready and we can keep them hungry, that we won't have maybe that letdown. Or even if one of our players, a couple of our players look past Chicago State, we'll have enough to win. But hopefully we won't ever get to that. But they're a good team. They're playing well together. They don't have a lot of depth, but the guys that they are playing, they're playing a lot of minutes. And sometimes when that happens, you play better, more consistent, because guys know that they're going to be on the floor and they spend a lot of time with each other in the game. So I view, and I've told our players, I view these two games just as tough as the way we have to look at them as the two games we had previously here against Seattle and Utah Valley. If we take that approach, I think we'll be fine. If we don't, we could get disappointed, in what's happening right now. And again, we won't put it on. Obviously, we want to win. We want to win most because it's home and it's the next game. But if we don't, something happens this weekend, we won't panic and go crazy, because again, just where we are in our goals, if we get better, February and March will take care of themselves, and we'll be happy with the ending. If we start worrying about just winning a game and not correcting turnovers, or not correcting rebounding, or not correcting execution, we're going to get to the end, and then we're going to be really disappointed. So I told them the sacrifice is now so that we won't get disappointed later. So because I'm not jumping up and shouting and telling how great we are or how great you play, it's not that I'm not appreciative of what you're doing. But when I look at the stat sheet, or when I look at what happens in the first half, in the first 5 minutes, or when I look at what happens the last 5 minutes of games, we can't be, satisfied. We can't be satisfied with the play of some of our guys as individuals. Because if we're going to continue to do that, there's no way we can win 3 games. How can you win 3 games in a row when our team is not consistent 2 nights in a row? So we've got a lot of work to do, but again, I'm pleased with where we are in the second or third week of January. If I could say the same thing the second or third week of February, then that means we've had a really good month, and that means we're closer to our goals of playing really well.
And Jarkel's obviously really effective in that mid-range pull-up. Have you noticed a difference this year in conference play compared to last year of how teams try to take that away, or how